Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man who's been driving all over Denver promoting the show, getting listeners, and is only here because he doesn't want to get fined, KC Onyebuchi.
What up, what up?
And the man who broke his Instagram drought today, Mr. John Keys.
I do not appreciate that introduction, but hello, world. Okay.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with the introduction? You no longer only have 2 things on Instagram. You have 3.
You know,
that's a 50% increase.
I appreciate the hatification that I'm experiencing tonight. Okay, it's barely been 30 seconds, and we're already getting it, man.
Hey, I got one question. I mean, I guess I could check it myself. Do you have an Instagram profile picture?
Isn't there something that we need to find on the official decision? Okay, isn't there something on the official decision that we need to talk about that's more important than my Instagram profile photo? Okay?
All right, fair enough.
And no, there's nothing there yet. But I'm going to find something, Ryan. If it's the back of your head tomorrow, I'm going to take a picture of it, and there it is going to be. Okay, it's going to be back of Ryan's head.
Please do not take a picture of the back of my head. That thing is jacked right now. I'm trying to fix it.
Of Ryan's kitchen, and we shall, and if people put memes of it,
a pack of hot dogs. Have you seen the back of his neck?
Okay.
Looking like Earl Campbell's sausages in the back.
Oh, not the Earl Campbell's. Okay.
By the way, those I do not understand why people get Earl Campbell sausages. Those are about the toughest sausages I've ever eaten. Like, you've got to have iron teeth to get through that casing, but that's all right.
Dude, it is delicious, and you can. And if you don't, I guess you have to come over and sit on the grill and let me show you how it's done. Okay.
You grill? Are you a griller?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would love to come over and have you grill out. I just have never gotten an address or an invitation to your place. Maybe
well,
that's because
I haven't. You'll be one of the very first. I have not sent out an official invite for everybody to come over. It's just a come as you are type situation. But you know what? I'm thinking about grilling this weekend. If I do something official, you, sir, are more than invited.
Well, Casey,
you know what?
Do you know, Casey? Do you know why he hasn't invited me over? Because that would mean he would have to play Street Fighter 2, and he would lose in front of his family and his cat.
Oh, come on, man. I got 2 cats. I got 2 cats, a dog, and 2 gerbils, dude. Okay?
Well, man.
I will not lose. You will not come to Casa de Llaves and thinking you're going to come away with a W. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. It will not happen.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, go ahead, Casey.
All right. So here's the important thing. Speaking of cooking, there were some great fights cooking up this weekend at Bellator 218, as well as UFC Fight Night, Thompson versus Pettis.
Go, keep going.
Yes.
That's all I got, bruh.
Well, this episode is sponsored by Segway, where we'll get you from one place to another without walking.
That's kind of dope. We should definitely do that more often.
All right, here we go. Bellator and the UFC hosted events this past weekend. Bellator 218 came to us up the road at Thackerville, Oklahoma, where Emmanuel Sanchez faced Georgi Karakhanyan, and the UFC traveled to Nashville, where Anthony Pettis faced Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in his first fight at 170 pounds. But before we talk about those results, let's look at all the results from Bellator and the UFC on the official decision. The official decision. This is the official decision. This is where we look at the fights that were this past weekend. Bellator 218, Sanchez versus Karakhanyan. WinStar World Casino and result, Thackerville, Oklahoma, March 22nd, 2019. Anthony Tokov defeated Gerald Harris via submission in round 2. Norbert Novinyi Jr. defeated William Levine via submission in round 2. I hear the chuckling.
Well, I was just thinking with a name like Norbert, you got to know how to fight.
You got to win. You got to win.
Dude,
My
undefeated.
man's been throwing hands since elementary school.
Norbert, and then you got a junior on that, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's generations of playground beating.
You can't hurt him no more. It's basically what he's saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Norbert, don't run up on us, dude. Please don't run up on me. Okay. I really can't, man. I really can't. Okay.
Valentin Moldovsky defeated Linton Vassell via unanimous decision, and in the main event, Emmanuel Sanchez defeated Georgi Karakhanyan via unanimous decision. Flying over to Nashville, Tennessee, UFC Fight Night Thompson versus Pettis, March 23rd, 2019, at the Bridgestone Arena. Macy Barber defeated JJ Aldrich via TKO in round 2.
Hold on, you're not saying it right. You're not saying it right.
What am I not saying right?
It's Macy Barber.
Macy Barber. Yeah, she
defeated
did
JJ
defeat
Aldrich.
JJ Aldrich.
Why do I have to say it like that? Macy Barber.
It's called for. It's called for.
I don't know.
That was an interesting
I
fight.
need your best cinematic voice to announce that.
All right.
I need your best.
Let's hear it.
Like it's Terminator 2. It's 1991. I need that voice.
Okay, that is a very obscure reference. I've seen the movie, but I don't know exactly what voice I need to do to.
In a dark time.
Oh, you want me to do like the In a World voice?
Yes.
In a world. Yes. Let's hear it.
In a world where Macy Barber faced JJ Aldrich in the Bridgestone Arena, Nashville, Tennessee, she defeated JJ via TKO in round 2.
I think I kind of like. I think that gets the golf clap.
Solid.
If I had a DJ Clue bomb, I would drop it for you right there. Okay, I really would. That was pretty good.
All right, KC, what's your analysis of this fight since it's your homegirl?
The analysis is that Cormier should really be coaching folks because the way he was breaking down fights all night was just spot on. So Macy Barber was absolutely outmatched with a dominant JJ Aldrich who could keep her distance and the range and was dominating the fight with the jabs. And Macy was having a hard time closing the distance. So I think throughout all of round 1, JJ Aldrich was just completely dominant and imposing her will. The adjustments that were made in between round 1 and 2 were really for Macy Barber to both close the distance and stay off the center line. She was really telegraphing all of her work, just really hoping to counter JJ, and it just wasn't working. So I was actually really surprised when Barber was able to get inside and just the devastating power that woman packs. Like, wow. For a 20-year-old, she's got a long career ahead of her. She's got a lot of work to do because let's be honest, she telegraphed the entire fight and was being outmatched, but just determination and staying in there is what won it for her.
John.
I have nothing to say. That was pretty. That's what Casey said it. I mean, yes, Daniel Cormier was doing a Tony Romo. He was calling plays and he was just calling it, and they were doing it. So we know that he has a dual life after fighting. He could be a coach and he can be a commentator. So. Everything that Casey said is absolutely correct. She was telegraphing, and I was getting kind of nervous there. But power in the hips, gets in, does massive destruction. Person, catches a win. I'm not mad.
What I really liked about it, though, just to tack on, is the fact that for a young person in the octagon to have that presence of mind to just stick with it and not let the frustration of literally being outmatched in every way in that. Macy just had the composure of a seasoned vet to just wait for the right moment to just go all in.
And I'll tack on to that and say that this could be attributed. Yeah, you got it now.
I'm like, this is the first fight on the card. We just spent like 3 minutes talking about Macy Barber. Come on.
You're not saying it correct. It's Macy Barber. That's what I want to hear from that. Okay, every time it's Macy. I want that. Okay, so well, all I'm saying is that she is young and she's willing to listen. That tells me a lot about the fighter, that they're willing to listen to their coaches and willing to adjust. That's what we need to see out of our fighters. That's all I got.
I just want all I'm gonna say is that this is actually the first time I've ever seen Macy Barber fight, and so I mean, JJ Aldrich is a good fighter, but she ain't great. Like Macy's got a ways to go before I'm gonna feel like she's ready for the big time. So she
That's
definitely came back. She bounced back. The resiliency that you want to see in a fighter is definitely there. I'm not taking anything away from her from that, but she got a ways to go before she can truly embody that moniker of the future. Luis Pena defeated Steven Peterson via unanimous decision. The Violet Bob Ross made art in that ring.
I disagree.
Dude, he was whooping him.
For the size advantage that Pena brings to that. Like, first of all, he missed weight and had substantial height and reach on Steven Peterson. That should have been quick work. It looked like he just held back for no reason. He was too...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I disagree. He beat Steven Peterson from pillar to post. Peterson got a couple of takedowns, but they didn't really manifest in anything. Yeah. Bob Ross was beating him up every round. It was. Go ahead.
I saw a happy tree beating. I'm sorry.
It's a happy tree.
I guess I hope it would turn into a Stephen Struve, just so much bigger than everyone else, and just like, yeah, you get wins, but you don't take care of business.
Well, he's young. He's had how many fights overall? I mean, he's still new to the game. So
now he's training over at American Kickboxing Academy, which is where Daniel Cormier is. So he's a protege of Daniel Cormier, but he's, you could tell that Daniel Cormier is like, hey, he's still got some work to do. He's not polished, but it was a great fight. Jussier Formiga defeated Davison Figueiredo via unanimous decision. Figueiredo is like a just knockout artist. At 125 pounds, you rarely ever see a knockout artist. But clearly he didn't have the grappling that Formiga did. And once the fight went to the ground, it was just neutralized and nothing could be done.
Yep.
John Makdessi defeated Jesus Pinedo via unanimous decision. The crowd booed this entire fight. Like, there were a couple of sparks at the end of round 2 and a little bit at the end of round 3, but most of the time, this was a strategic, technical fight that if you're a casual fighter, this is not the kind of fight that really, turns the lights on for you.
Yeah. I feel like it's... Yeah, there's not much you can add to that. It's because you want to give credit to these fighters of being really strategic and not going all in and knowing how to pick their shots, because at the end of the day, you still have to win the fight and not just put on a show. But man, you also have to figure out a way to win the crowd, because that's, especially in the UFC, that's at least 50% of your job.
Yeah, you know what we got to do? We got to get that drop from Gladiator where he goes, "Are you not entertained?" And then be like, "No."
Do better.
Do better.
I mean, seriously, it was a slow fight. Once again, I think it was a very strategic, and also, was it just too much respect there? I mean, it's just like if you see a fight where the fighters respect each other just a little too much.
Well, they talked about it. They talked about it on the broadcast that John Makdessi was supposed to fight somebody and Jesus Pinedo was supposed to fight somebody. Both of their opponents fell out of the card. And so because they were all in the same weight class, they were just like, okay, well, you two guys fight. So each of them were training for a different opponent, and then they kind of got lumped together at the last minute. So I guess maybe that explains why it was such a kind of a slow fight, but yeah, I mean, I watched it because I like the sport, but I can see why people booed.
I would have, and you know what? What they should have did? They should have sat there and said, "Look, we'll make this a 2-round exhibition. It won't go on your records. Just go, and we'll guarantee you this amount of money. Go out there and just beat that butt. Okay, just go out there and just go slobber knocker and crazy, and just have fun." They could have did that. That way it doesn't affect their ranking. It doesn't affect, give them some money that would compensate. But then that wouldn't be an exhibition at that point, would it? If they're getting paid.
I don't know. I think that if it's not a sanctioned fight, I think they could probably pay you for an exhibition. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So go in there and just go hog crazy. Just try everything, okay, and just have fun.
You got something to add, Casey? Oh, go ahead.
No, I just don't see that there's much of an incentive for either one of those guys to lay it all out on the line. So, I mean, I can't blame them. As a casual fight fan, I see where this isn't what you want to see. But as a fan of the sport, in no way you're not going to catch me booing two guys trying not to lose.
No, I will never do that. But at the same time, go in there and fight. Okay, just you signed up for a job where you could be knocked out at any point in the game. Okay, make sure your plan is tighter than the other one. Go out there and just and go for it.
In the co-main event, Curtis Blades defeated Justin Big Pretty Willis via unanimous decision. This was the Curtis Blades that made me say that he was the future of the heavyweight division. That he would someday hold the legacy belt, which is the championship title at heavyweight. This was the Curtis Blades. He was all over Justin Willis, didn't give him a shot. Going into the third round, Willis had only landed one significant strike. That's dominant.
That's an anger beating. Okay, He anger beat him from second one to the last second of that match. He could have ended that at any time. He chose to go all the way through the 3 rounds. He could have beat him at any time. Okay.
I think this was like the perfect matchup for you, Ryan. Just in that the conversations. Wait, what? No, just the fact that this was truly two people who don't like each other, and the amount of trash talk that Justin Willis levied towards Curtis Blades. Curtis truly took it to heart and had every intention of doing maximum harm towards Justin Willis. This was an actual grudge match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. For some reason, I missed all of the trash talk, but I may have to go back now and be like, ooh.
Dude, you got to check out the Instagrams. They were going at it, and even backstage and their weigh-ins. I was surprised that you weren't more tuned into that, because this was legit bad blood, not what you do to sell fights. This was Justin Willis saying that Curtis Blades is washed and a boring fighter, and everyone's there to see Big Pretty.
Yeah, I love how both of y'all have hesitated on saying pretty and not the other word. It's hilarious. Okay, that tells me it's sitting there right on the tip of your tongue, and you guys have to hesitate for it.
I did see that Curtis Blades called Justin Willis big, and it's the word that rhymes with pretty, that means a woman's breast.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, that was beautiful, dude. That was hilarious. Okay.
All right. In the main event of the evening, Anthony Showtime Pettis defeated Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via Superman Punch in round 2.
Actually, I think they called it the Showtime Superman Hook. I think is what they're calling it.
Really? Like, they need to stop naming these things.
Yeah, dude, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but it was a Superman punch.
Well, it actually had a hook on it, dude. It really did. If you go back and look at it, it had a beautiful hook to it. And when it connected, and I like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I really do. And I chose him to win. So I got to eat crow for that. But yeah, thank you. I like mine's with ketchup, mustard, extra onions,
Well,
extra
you ain't the
pickles.
only one eating crow, so I'm gonna go ahead. I picked Stephen Wonderboy Thompson too. I was telling
Wait, who did I
Casey.
pick?
I don't even know.
Oh,
Casey, no,
the
Casey,
Nostradamus strikes again.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and try to figure out who you picked.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I will say this: I went against Kim Flo on this one because Kim Flo actually called it in round 2 KO. So, yeah, I feel
Okay,
pretty bad.
I think Kenny Florian is watching the fights and then making his predictions.
No, he did it the day before. Unless he's watching it from the future, man.
He's not
He could be a time traveler, you know.
So here's what I thought about that fight, though: is Anthony Pettis. It looked a lot like the Macy Barber fight versus J.J. Aldrich, where the striking, man, Steven's range was impeccable. He stayed out of range, jabbing at Anthony Pettis to death. The kicks were effective. I loved Anthony's counters with the orbital kick. I don't know if you noticed that. He threw him soft. He didn't throw him with intent, but it was just enough to keep Thompson at bay. But what was really landing for Pettis was the rear kick. It was definitely affecting Thompson up front. So I really thought that had this fight played out longer, that Stephen Thompson had the edge. He was doing a really good job of keeping distance. And the moment that he lost that distance advantage at the very end of round 2, as Pettis backs up against the cage, and Stephen, of course, in his karate/taekwondo stance with his hands down low and just staying long. The moment he left his hands low and moved in, I love Pettis finding that angle and making Thompson look down at the knee just to get caught in the chin. That was just finding the exact right moment because Anthony was getting worked.
Yeah, he was. He was getting picked away. I mean, I've seen Wonderboy do this too many times. That his range is he's the best range fighter that the UFC has, and luckily we found his weakness. He can't, once you go in on him and close the range, his weapons go away, and he ate it. He ate it. I mean,
just got caught.
No,
are you calling it the lucky hit?
No, because so I was reading somewhere that someone was like, these are professional fighters. There are no lucky hits, but so I don't think that. But Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was beating Anthony Pettis' tail for the whole first round and most of the second, and then he got knocked out with 5 seconds left in the round. I don't know. I just can't. I can't accept that this was like some devastating. That Anthony Pettis is so much better than Wonderboy Thompson. That Wonderboy Thompson has this weakness. He just got caught.
But okay, it's like this. Okay, nobody throws a punch just for average effect. Okay, everybody throws a punch to either set up for a knockout or to knock out. Okay.
Except for Ryan Smith, he just throws it.
Oh.
Heck of it.
Oh.
All right, listen, all I got, I mean, we've been over this. Casey's fought 3 fights. He's 0-3.
That is not true. I wish we were doing video today. Behind me is my championship belt and my trophy. Where's yours?
No.
Where's your belt?
Thing is, so for those of you out there who are new to combat sports, there is something called a passport. And your passport is your official record of your performance in the ring. KC has fought 3 times in the ring. 2 of them were official. Both of them were losses.
No, it's 4 times.
2.
Barney and me.
That was 1.
The first ticket fight night that I did.
2.
Fought against you.
3.
Oh, yeah, 3.
Oh God, CTE people, CTE. Okay.
Why do you have a drop ready for this?
You know what? The funny thing is had you not thrown some shade on me, I was going to tell you that you actually picked Anthony Pettis to win the fight. But I'm not telling you that now, and you don't get to enjoy having picked the winner.
All right, you
Continue,
win.
John. You were talking.
I will concede my remaining minutes to the floor. Okay.
All right. Hey, let me just put some stuff out there. Stephen
All right.
Wonderboy Thompson, like I said, he got caught. He was in control of this fight. I don't know that Anthony Pettis is validated yet at 170 pounds. I want to see him fight again. I'm excited. He can fight anybody at 170. I want to see that fight. But what was interesting, two things. The first one is, you know how they do the promo videos before the fight.
Mhm.
Yep.
So you could go back and find this, but Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is talking to the screen, and he's like, they're talking about Anthony Pettis and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, Anthony Pettis, he's a great striker, but I'm better. He's fast, but I'm faster. People want to see a knockout, and that's what I'm gonna give him.
Surprise!
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 All right. The second thing is, I love Stephen Wonderboy Thompson because dude was in the hospital, in the emergency room,
Having fun.
he was having fun. He was streaming, and he's just talking to his fans and stuff like that. He's like, I've been hit harder than that. He's like, but I don't remember a thing. He's like, last thing I remember, I'm jabbing Anthony Pettis to death. His blood is all over me. His nose is busted, and then I wake up magically in the back room.
Homeboy, you have not been knocked out hard. That's the hardest you've ever been knocked out.
He
I'm
said
sorry,
he's
you've
fought
never
80
been knocked
fights.
out that hard.
Yo, he got stiff real quick.
Yeah,
in
he
his
did.
kickboxing and mixed martial arts career, dude has 80 fights under his belt. This was the first time he's ever been knocked out, and you can hear his dad in the background, and he goes, "Yeah, he's a little fella too."
Yeah, there's a meme floating out there of Junior Dos Santos and Daniel Cormier. They're crying over their losses and stuff. And then they're like, then there's this guy, he's all happy and joy. Oh man, I can't believe I just got knocked out, man. Oh, like at least he's taking it with stride. Okay, that's if you can laugh in defeat as well in victory, you are you're very complete warrior. And hats off to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Even though your head hit the ground and your conscience got separated from you, you still came back and was really grounded about it. So
yeah. I'm a bigger Wonderboy Thompson after that loss than I was coming into that fight. So I agree with you.
So if the Curtis Blades versus Justin Willis is the ideal Ryan fight, I think this is the ideal KC fight, just in the sense that these are two guys who openly said, look, this isn't about animosity. This is 100% about, like, I want to test my skills against someone else. So they avoided trash talk altogether and were still able to sell this fight based on, look, this is two different styles. You got Pettis moving up a weight, and this could be interesting. Like, there was no need to talk trash. It was all about the martial artist. They kept it that way even afterwards. Like, the two seemed like best friends on Instagram even after that fight.
God forbid if fighters actually acted like that they actually went out there and it's like, I'm going to put my style versus his style, and we're going to see what happens.
Yep.
If that would happen more often, it would be a different world.
And just for the record, I am an MMA fan. I love the sport. So this was an ideal fight for me too, okay? I just want to let the record show. I don't only want to see people who don't like each other fight. That is not solely my purview. I love all fights, especially Ronda Marcos. You know Ronda Marcos?
Okay, I missed the weigh-in, so I'm just going to ask this question. Did anybody see the weigh-ins? Because what did Angela Hill show up as?
I have no idea. She showed up as a fighter getting ready to lose.
Oh, man, that's just hateful.
Ronda Marcos defeated Angela Overkilled Hill via submission in round one. And
Come
that it was, I think it was armbar, and it was deep, man. Like you know, past 180 kind of armbar.
on. Ew.
I don't understand it. Clearly the women's strawweight division is so freaking strapped for talent that they keep her around. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's
Are you
strange.
saying that this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back?
Probably not. But that means
Nah.
that means I get to announce another loss whenever she fights again.
Man, it don't matter where she's fighting. You're gonna find her, and you're gonna be like, she's gonna lose tonight. Okay,
It's a safe
something
bet.
tells me.
It's a
okay?
safe bet. Like, she has won some fights, but I would be willing to put $100 on her opponent every time because I'm gonna come out a winner most times. All right. Well, that is the official decision. Let's get into the headlines that are making waves in the wake of last week's action with Finding the Angles. Finding the Angles. This is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the headlines that people are talking about. The first one that I have on the list tonight is Kevin, the Motown phenom Lee, is moving up to 170 pounds. 170 pounds is going to be the most stacked division in the UFC. Now that you've got Anthony Pettis, you got Kevin Lee moving up. He says there's too much controversy in politics at 155. I think it's fair.
What it looks like that everybody is moving in now that Woodley moved out, and they think that he's done. And I'm like, don't count Woodley out just yet. He's I think we're what, 3 now that he hasn't accepted that loss, and he still doesn't understand how he lost to Kamaru Usman. So he's gonna come back, and y'all better watch out. Okay. So, I mean, I'm glad that Kevin Lee moved up. I think he'll, much like with Pettis looks, going back to Pettis just for a second, he looked a lot better at 170. He didn't look like he was like dehydrated. And I think the same thing will be for Kevin Lee. He'll have more power. He'll probably look fuller at 170. So, congratulations. Welcome to the division. We have knockouts.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about it. Kevin Lee, while I think that I don't like his persona, his UFC persona, the guy seems like a decent fella. I just don't like
fella. We actually used that, fella.
We did.
I'm glad you called him on it. I don't have. I've really lost too many arguments in this conversation, so I was going to let somebody else.
But so. I'm excited.
I mean, is he gonna pick? I mean, are we going down to the Piggly Wiggly and he's gonna shuck some groceries or something at this point? I mean.
Wait, shuck some groceries? Is that a thing? Is that a phrase?
That is that's a little bit. Wait,
how old are you again? Shuck some corn.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we do that, but shuck some groceries? Is that even?
It's all. It could happen. It could happen. It could happen. Okay.
I'm employing the Abraham Lincoln rule, which is it is better to be thought of as a fool than to open my mouth and remove all doubt, because I know I'm about to say some dumb stuff.
Yeah, like you can shuck corn, you can shuck oysters, but you can't shuck groceries.
And
we don't know that.
And
okay.
What you gonna do? Peel the paper bag off the groceries?
Hey. Okay, all right.
He said chuck. Right. See, that's where you're wrong. He said chuck some groceries.
Chuck some groceries. So you throw in groceries.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm throwing groceries. Okay.
It's either groceries or these hands.
and look, we know nobody's afraid of either one of them.
Hey, come get this belt.
But listen, I would, but you ran after you stole my belt, you ran to Denver.
Look, you want some of this?
You left the entire Texas is the second largest state in America, and you ran away.
No, I went to Denver because this is where all the real training camps are.
Yeah, you had to
Oh.
get better because you lost the fight, and now you have to protect the
I
belt.
don't want to do this. This is stupid. I don't do this game.
All right, hey, you know who joined the 40 Club?
Yeah.
Daniel D.C. Cormier. I am so proud of that man. He is now old.
I was like,
Man,
do you want an award
I
for that?
almost said something that was inappropriate. I am 44 years old. I do not want to hear how he's old now.
He
Okay,
is old. That dude, old. He's turning gray.
Oh my!
If he had hair, probably.
I know.
That's why he shaves it. All right, so DC, happy birthday. I was thinking, like, should we sing happy birthday to Daniel Cormier? That would be kind of cool. KC, why don't you grab your band tar and play happy birthday?
Hold on, before we do this, is somebody gonna send this to DC? I mean, honestly,
Wait. Yeah, I can't play that.
that's That's a Nirvana version of Happy
Yeah,
Birthday.
see, what you got to do is
man.
you got to just hit the chords, KC. Hit the chords. Broom, happy birthday to you. Broom, happy birthday to you. Broom.
I forgot I couldn't actually play the rest of that.
Somebody's strumming skills need a little work.
Hey,
Okay.
no, listen.
Wait, can we just pause for a moment
He
at the
got
fact
a
that I had
pretty
a
mouth.
banjo next to me during this podcast to make this happen in real time?
You gonna do it? Are you gonna play it?
That slide. Yeah.
KC, are you gonna play it for real?
Are you gonna take us out?
Happy
Take
birthday?
us out at the end.
No. Are you gonna play dueling banjos?
Oh, I can. I just did.
Oh.
The end.
There you go.
Wow, there you
KC
go.
Onyebuchi. The man can play a guitar. He just can't throw them hands. With TJ out,
Oh.
Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes for the 135. I'm sorry, Casey. I apologize.
No, he doesn't.
Are you gonna catch these hands?
Dude, he gonna just roll up on me, man.
I'm just saying, Spirit Airlines. No, don't bring any packages on, no luggage. Just come down here, go to Walmart, catch a pair of those one shorts and a t-shirt and find them.
On bus, just because it's gonna give me a long time to be angry. Let me just seethe inside of a Greyhound bus and just show up at your door.
Show up.
Some of this old man.
No. The funny thing is that he take a Greyhound bus. He convinced the driver to drive the Greyhound bus to my house, park it in my driveway, and he's like, "Okay, I'm here."
You're weird.
All right,
Oh.
TJ Dillashaw, he came down with a case of the PEDs, and therefore he has relinquished his bantamweight title. There cannot be an empty bantamweight title. And so it looks like Dana White says is that Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes for the vacant 135-pound title. Here's the big thing that I have for you guys. If Henry Cejudo wins the 135, do you think that ultimately gets Dana White what he wants, which is the death of the 125-pound division?
Yes.
Why? He already has it.
Well, no, this is, because think about it, though. Henry Cejudo should not be fighting for the 135. Honestly, I think it should be Aljamain Sterling. Okay?
Aljamain Sterling?
Or somebody from the 135.
It should, okay, I don't know if it's Aljamain Sterling, but...
I'll take anybody from 135.
But not Henry Cejudo.
Yeah. No, not Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo should be fighting the winner of that, whoever versus Marlon Moraes. That is legit. Somebody in the 32 people in the 35 division deserves this title shot before the 125 champ. Okay,
Yep.
That's how I feel about it.
I mean,
but
I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah, but see what he's done, what Dana has done, he's gave the carrot, he's dangling the carrot over Cejudo to come take that belt. Cejudo's going to take that belt. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind. I think Cejudo's going to use his dominant wrestling skills and really go for it. And he's going to get the belt. And then Dana's going to be like, oh, look at that. The champion is in 135, up by 125. And that's going to be the end of it. And nobody seems to see this, or except the three of us now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe if Henry Cejudo is actually listening to the podcast, which, Henry, look at what you're doing, man. You can't call yourself the champion and then go, saying that you're the savior of 125 and then go for 135. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can. Just be a Gastelum. Hold a belt for no reason.
Gastelum? Oh.
Did they ever wipe that belt down after the duty bumps that we saw of Gastelum?
I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, did they fumigate that belt? Cause I'm pretty sure Staff still lives on that belt right now, man.
Maybe that's why Henry Cejudo's going after the next one.
Yeah,
I can't use this one anymore. It's a legacy belt. They're not going to give me another one if I win at 125, so I got to win at 135 so I can get a new belt.
I'm saying dip it in bleach, man. It'll be all right.
No, if they dip it in bleach, that fake gold will
Oh.
I'm telling you, that belt looks like a toy belt.
Oh.
My belt that KC has looks more real than the legacy belt.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
All right, so any UFC champions that are listening to this, do not ride up on them. Okay, there's Ryan. He lives in Texas.
Okay. You know, listen. Just because you know where I live,
live on my own show.
Yeah, I will mute you, sir.
Look, I'm just saying. Hey, he'll put it on Instagram, and you can throw those hands on Instagram Live. Okay,
yes.
And yes, you can do that.
All right. Hey, the champ at 170, Kamaru Usman. He was on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan asked him, where does this Marty name comes from? Because you know that he's got it. He's going back and forth with Ben Askren, and Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, even Colby Covington, and Kamaru Usman, and John Jones. They all have a history together. They all kind of were wrestling at tournaments all at the same time, so they all know each other. And so Ben Askren is just relentless with this Marty nickname. And, Kamaru Usman is like, you know what, I've moved past it. I'm not Marty. My name is Kamaru. Don't call me Marty. And he just goes in on it. So Joe Rogan asked him, like, where did the name Marty come from? Do either of you know where the name Marty comes from?
No.
I would assume that was his American name.
So basically what happened in high school, Kamaru Usman was wrestling. It was his first day, and they're doing roll call. And it got to him, and his real name is Kamaruddin Usman. And so the coach was having trouble pronouncing Kamaruddin. And so he's like, I'm not saying that, I'm just calling you Marty. And everyone thought it was funny. Next thing you know, the entire team started calling him Marty. And the term Marty and the name Marty stuck with him all the way through college.
I kind of hate that because I've had a similar story.
So I know that you have a similar story, which is why I added this to it. Do you want to talk about that?
No, because I hate that name. But if you knew me from the time I was in elementary school all the way through sophomore year of high school, don't call me that name. I'll fight you.
Which means that now everybody's gonna start calling you because it's like that's not a threat. Like you should be like, I'm gonna.
Oh, boo.
See, let me tell y'all something.
It's so bad because I had in the same way that he had a coach who couldn't say his name, and so, hey, here's your name. So honestly, it was a teacher who couldn't say my name, so she came up with this nickname that turns out to also be a girl's name. I was like, yo, this is not cool. But it got to the point that even my mom to this day still calls me that name. I'm like, Mom, you gave me this name. Why are you calling me this stupid nickname? This is dumb.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wasn't asking you to say what the nickname was, but this is what I was looking for. Was you? I knew that you had a similar thing where people just refused to try to say your name, so they just give you a name, like.
I had a plus side of it though. So AP, history, it was AP Economics. The teacher was like, so I can't say your name. Do you have a nickname that you want to go by? So for most of my senior year in that class, I was Funkmaster Flex, sometimes just Flex.
Really?
Yeah, he let me go with that. Like on the papers I was turning in, I was Funkmaster Flex.
Wow.
Like, if that's easier than my name, then that's what you're gonna have to do.
That's really interesting. That's a great story.
Well, I'm just saying, I understand the name. I do have a family nickname that I hate. Okay, and it's only the fact that they are related to me by blood that they still walk the earth without me at age 44 just saying, you know what, I've had a great life, it's time for me to go to jail now, and just start,
We gotta fight.
Man. Yeah.
And, besides, my family's crazy anyway. They're crazy like me, so it's be like crazy fighting crazy. Towns get burnt up because of things like that. So, I love my family. I love y'all all. However, I hate my childhood name. Okay, so let's just leave it at that.
All right. Diaz says Khabib is running scared. I don't believe that. Khabib is suspended for most of the year.
Diaz don't care.
Dude can't fight. He can't sanction a fight till like November.
Diaz don't care. Okay. He don't care. He don't care if you can't fight ever in the U.S. He's still gonna talk that smack, okay? Because you know why? Because he knows that's getting under Khabib. He knows it's eating at him right now that he can't go there and say, send me location, okay? He knows that if he does anything at this point, that is end of his career. So you know what? Diaz, talk that smack. Okay, talk all that trash. Okay?
It's only upside for Diaz because Diaz is playing. He doesn't want to. He's not in this to fight. Like, his legacy is what it is. It's not going to change. He's only doing this for more money. Like, and the money fight for him is Khabib because Conor the Trilogy is not going to happen. So
whoa! Don't say that. Actually, what did I hear? What did I hear about that? They're saying that they're setting up Cerrone McGregor now. Or who are they setting up?
No, they've already. Dana White's already put the kibosh on that. He said no.
Okay, because I heard. Well, he said no before, and then look at that. But they're saying that things are setting up right now that they are trying to. That it may be a slip maneuver to put Diaz and McGregor back in the ring. So. Let's not count it all the way out yet. More to come, people. More to come. I'll talk more about it on the gram. How about that? Okay.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay. All right. See, this is why. Okay.
Guatemala gets first UFC victory. El Guapo. KC, why'd you put this on here? I don't know the story.
I put this on here because it was a historic moment in UFC history where. This weekend on the card, you had Chris El Guapo Gutierrez fighting for Guatemala, and it was the very first win for someone from a Guatemalan background in the UFC. So big moment for Factory X.
I knew it. I knew it.
And this portion of Combat Sports Talk is brought to you by Factory X.
Can we at least get a sponsorship or something?
I know, a T-shirt.
So they have an alternate podcast that is literally they built a studio inside the gym for them. So I think we'd be competing hardcore against that. I feel like they might not want to have dual loyalty there.
Yeah, well, listen. The quality of our podcast is amazing.
Our fans are better. I will say that.
Bitter or better?
Better. We have the best fans in the business.
Heck yeah.
Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you.
Make this life possible.
You make it worth it. All right, that is.
Light up my life.
Oh, boy.
No, too soon.
Yeah, too soon.
All right, that's finding the angles. Let's get into. There are 2 fights this weekend. Let's get into the fight card. right, this is the fight card. This is where we look forward to the fights that are coming up this weekend. Bellator going 2 weeks in a row. Bellator 219, Awad versus Gertz, March 29th, 2019, at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California, in the United States. There are 4 fights on the card. First fight of the night is Joe Schilling versus Keith Berry. Joe Schilling, that guy is like a elite kickboxer, yeah?
That's why the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, okay. Somebody's about to catch them hands and
them
them
feet. Andrei Koreshkov versus Mike Jasper. That's a 170-pound fight. Daniel Strauss versus Shane Crutchkin. And in the main event, Saad Awad versus Brandon Gertz. Those are 155-pound fights. Then you got UFC on ESPN. Edson Barbosa versus Justin Gaethje. That's March 30th, 2019 at the Wells Fargo Center in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We got Go ahead.
I was going to say more like the city of brotherly shove this weekend. But,
well, there you go. That's
better.
Actually, I thought
it was good. Oh, man, come on.
But I will say this. Fly, Eagles, fly. Shaman Moraes versus Sodiq Yusuf as the first fight of the card. Then you got Michelle Watterson versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. That's a great fight. I love that fight.
That's going to be some striking fools on that.
Yes, it's going to be a great fight. Josh Emmett versus Michael Johnson. You got a striker versus a wrestler. Styles make fights. That's an exciting one. Kevin Holland versus Gerald Meerschaert.
Meerschaert.
There you go.
Meerkat?
Meerkat.
Okay.
I hope that's his fight name. That would be awesome. You got David Branch versus Jack Hermanson.
Herman's son? Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, there was about, I don't know, but 20 episodes ago, Jack Hermanson fought, and I was, the way that the run sheet was paginated, that I could only see, like, the first part. It just said Jack Herman. And I could see those letters, so I was like, it's Jack Herman son. So now that's how I say his name. It's Jack Herman son. And in the main event, Edson Barbosa versus Justin Gaethje. We got some flash fight picks. We got 4 flash fight picks on this card. Gonna start off, John. Michelle Watterson versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
Oof, don't make me pick that one, man. I'll go with the karate hottie on this one, man. She's hit and miss. I want to say she's gonna be hit on this one.
KC.
I'm sorry to say that you missed because Karolina Kowalkiewicz KK got this.
Okay.
You know, this is a great fight. I'm gonna go against the Nostradamus of MMA. And pick Michelle Watterson. She impressed me so much in her last fight. And Karolina Kowalkiewicz, I've been on that hype train. We haven't done a hype train in forever, but I've been on the Karolina Kowalkiewicz hype train for the longest time, and I just keep getting disappointed. So this is me stepping off the Karolina Kowalkiewicz hype train, and I am getting on board the Michelle Watterson hype train. So I got Michelle Watterson in this one. The next fight, what?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Okay. Josh Emmett versus Michael Johnson. Flash fight pick. KC, go.
For no reason at all. No reason. I'm going Michael Johnson.
All right. John?
You're absolutely right. No reason at all. I'm going with the guy that sounds like a homicidal maniac. I'm going for Josh Emmett, dude.
I'm going for Josh Emmett too. We are against the Nostradamus here. All right, David Branch versus Jack Hermanson.
Ooh. Yeah,
John.
Dude, I got no pick on this one.
Okay.
Okay, I just flipped
not
the coin. I flipped the coin and it says David Branch.
I'm going to go with David Branch. I think that one fight where he got whooped against Jared Cannonier, I think that's a fluke. I'm going to stick with David Branch. And in the main event of the evening, Edson Barbosa versus Justin Gaethje. KC, Nostradamus, what you got?
I smelled victory for Edson Barboza.
Exactly. Does Edson have a nickname yet? Because I think it needs to be Boom. Because when he hits somebody, it's just boom and they're out. And I think this is going to be another case for Justin Gaethje's CTE. And we'll just see what round it happens in.
We're all on that one. Edson Barboza is going to win that one. You got it, Casey? You going to do it?
Boom! Rocked him in the third.
I wish that we were on video because I'm wearing my Boom Rocked 'em shirt tonight.
I wish we were on video so I could show you my trophies.
Yeah. All right.
I don't wish we were on video. Honestly, I don't. I'm good. I can get this in my bathrobe. Okay.
TMI. Too much information.
Just saying, man. It's my comfortable robe, man.
All right. Follow us on social media. On Instagram, I am at Combat Sports Talk.
And I am at Push Pull Pray.
And I am at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with an ES.
Yes, right. Go out and see all 3 of those videos.
That's now hold on now Twitter. I actually do have stuff on there. As a matter of fact, I think this week I'm gonna put up. Let's talk. We talked about Nate. The Diaz brothers. Let's put up some history of the Diaz brother on Twitter this week.
All right, if you do that, I'll retweet you. I'll retweet you.
Okay.
All right, you can find this podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. That includes iTunes, that includes Spotify, and every podcast platform in between. We have merchandise. Just go to our website, www.combatsportstalk.com. You can find our archives. You can also hear some of the live event recordings that I have with Gene Money Stallworth. Unfortunately, he let me know that the next pay-per-view he will not be joining me. So, I guess John, if you're feeling up to it, maybe you can come out.
It looks like if I'm, you know what? Let's see here. I don't see anything happening on the 30th, and
no. It'd be like in April. It'd be like the 4th.
In April the 25th, then that'll be April 25th. Yeah, actually, we can do that.
Let's start planning it. But we continue to do our live events, get the live event reaction. So absolutely check that out on our website. And that's about it, guys. I want to thank you so much. Let's go home. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com. Casey Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For Casey Onyebuchi and John Pease, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.